والله يدعو إلى دار السلام ويهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم.
In the name of Allah, the Merciful, Allah who I praise and pray that He will shower us with His mercy and accepts us among the righteous of people. I am your host, Abdul Hakim Ali, in a new episode of Prophetic Traits. I'm glad that you're with me today, and I hope that you and I will enjoy ourselves, inshallah, in these short series that will give us a little touch of who the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is. In our last episode, brothers and sisters out there, we talked about the Prophet being the son, being the grandson, being the nephew, and trying to provide for the family. And I wish I could continue in detailing his life year in and year out. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to make sure that I summarize and squeeze whatever I can for you and I, just to get a little understanding and touch and view of the life of the greatest man ever. Muhammad, peace be upon him, as well as being a son and a nephew, he was also a father, a relative, someone that took care of others during his adulthood. He got married at the age of 25 to a woman that surpassed his age by 15 years, Khadija bint Khuwaylid. He married this woman at the time that she had 2 children of her own. But he embraced her, even though she was older than he was by 15 years, as well as embraced her children. And with that also, he had a servant by the name of Zayd ibn Haritha, and also a nephew of his, who stayed most of his time there, by the name of Ali ibn Abi Talib, and another nephew for Khadija, by the name of Zubayr ibn al-Awwam. A family, as you can see, enormous for anyone to start. Basically, as people, we live. We feel that once we have 1 or 2 children, we have overwhelmed ourselves. Here's the Prophet coming in with so many children. Add to that, he later on had his own children. He had Zainab, Ruqayya, Kulthum. He had Fatima. These are all girls. And then he had Abdullah, Wal Qasim, Wa Ibrahim, out of the boys. As you can see, he has 7 children of his own. And he had all the other children that he was raising that are not his. But he was not a man to complain. And with the blessings, neither was Khadija, was a woman to complain. I'd like to share with you a few little touchy spiritual things of how he used to deal with his children. Fatima, his daughter, she speaks about her father, and she said, my father, whenever I would enter and he's sitting, I would enter and he'll stand up, and I will kiss him on his forehead. And whenever he comes into me, I'll stand up and he will kiss me on my forehead. Equality even between him and his daughter. Love and care that he shared with Fatima. She was so close to him, so close to her father, as a friend, as a messenger, and as a father, that when he was dying, she was crying and crying and crying and crying. And then the Prophet, peace be upon him, whispered into her ears. He whispered, brothers and sisters. Would you like to know what he whispered to her ears? Which made her, as soon as she heard it, laugh and show joyfulness and happiness after all those tears and cries. She's at her peak of happiness. So those who were around her asked her, and they said, Ya Fatima, what did the Prophet whisper to your ear? She said, he was telling me that I will be the first one of his family members to follow him in death. In death. She was happy that she will die the first of her family to follow the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Can you see that love and care that he had for her? His son Ibrahim was dying and passed away. He was the only son that he had at that time. For all of his male children passed away before they became even teens. He held his son in his arm, and he looked at his son, and he cried. And tears started rolling down his cheeks. The companions around him were taken by surprise. The Prophet crying? Shouldn't he be patient? And then they said, O Prophet of Allah,